basically, I think of myself as a still life photographer. I spend a lot of time in the studio arranging objects that I then photograph. And what you see are just straightforward, traditional analog color prints. They're not manipulated digitally, and they're not even manipulated in the printing. In other words, the printing process is very straightforward. All the effects, the color, the quality of the lighting, that all takes place in the studio when I'm shooting. So what you see is actually what I saw to a certain extent when I was putting the pictures together. And just to describe sort of in detail what you're looking at here, you're looking at a few mirrors that are propped up against one another, and then they're lit with a strobe light that has a red gel on the light. That's where the color red comes from. And there's a shadow that kind of moves from one image to the next. And that shadow is created by me physically moving the lighting around the space. So when I shoot, I spend a lot of time arranging objects and looking through the back of the lens, trying to get a sense of how the composition is coming together. Once I have arranged it in a way that I'm interested in it and want to keep working with it, I'll lock down my camera. I try not to disturb whatever I've set up on my tabletop. And then I really kind of play. I move around with the lighting. I no longer even really look through the lens. I pay attention to where the lighting is kind of falling, so I know roughly where shadows are. But when you work with strobe lighting, you have a light that allows you to see roughly where the light is, but the actual flash goes off in just a fraction of a second. So I'm somewhat aware of what I'm going to get on the film, but not entirely. And in this case, I wanted to hang 3 images, so the viewer would have more of a sense of me constructing the image, of me moving in, stepping back, creating these more dramatic shadows, or more of a sense of light. So I think of this as an arrangement that may give people a hint or a clue to my process, and also that points to me as an author. So perhaps if you were to just look at one of these, you might not think about the fact that someone is actually constructing this image. But when you see 3, you get a sense that there's some negotiation taking place. I think that when most of us think about photography, we think about a photograph as a document of something real that was before the lens. We may think about street photography, where you go out hoping to find something that you want to photograph. For me, I was more interested in setting up, constructing a photograph myself from the ground up. In my studio, I arrange objects and photograph them. So what you see in this work, which is called Red Goya, is a number of things that I've set up on a tabletop and photographed. So these are all real objects that are reflected in this image, even though it appears to be abstract. They're mirrors that are resting against each other. Where they intersect, they create this kind of radial pattern. And you see here a paper towel that's reflected in a piece of mylar. You see the color that comes from gels that are on my lights that I use in the studio. So it's both an abstract image and a representational image of an arrangement that was before the lens.